Mum had me when she was 18, so she was a young mum. Um, I don't think she ever got to go and live her life, you know. Um, so yeah, Mum was up in those occasions. I remember that, like, but she predominantly was in bed, and it really would be knocking on and Mom, can you get up? Can you get up? Like, this would be me and my sister all of the time. Mom, can you get out of bed? Like, we wanted her to be there and look after us and have her presence. Like, it was neglect. It was very neglectful. Emotionally, she's just very vacant.
Do you feel like that you took over, maybe not at this point, but did you feel a sense of responsibility for your sister to
Yeah,
fill that role?
yeah, I was mum, you know, I did take on mum role. I did. And responsibility is one of the biggest struggles I've had in life. You know, I feel emotion coming up. It's okay. I really struggle with taking on responsibility for everyone around me. And that's like really heavy. I'm really good at letting emotion flow now. Can you see this? It's really affected me, you know, to be like the person who's always responsible for people, the person who's like I really struggle with responsibility, but in a beautiful way, I am so good at taking responsibility, like too good. You know, very good at being like dropping my ego, taking responsibility in situations, knowing when I'm but like to blame or to like need to own my stuff. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
And I'm sure that left a little bit more of an impersonation on you as well, being told there's no judicial system justice.
I guess it was one of those confirming things of like, okay, there's no one to rely on, like authority figures. There's people who are supposed to. I just been learning so much from. Okay, mums don't protect me. Like parents, adults are not. No wonder I had a breakdown. I swear, like my whole reality was just being broken in so many ways. Like I come from being such an innocent, beautiful, creative child that just loved life, was so happy and expressionate, and I honestly, when I was a child, I loved life. I was so joyous. I'm joyous now, but I was so happy. And I mean, all children are, right? But like, I just remember loving the beauty of life and playing and butterflies and nature and sunshine. And, you know, I just loved life so much. And I just could never have prepared myself for how shattering reality was, you know, like really how shattering life could be. Again, it was just that whole process of like lying, your attention seeking, and I was just like, am I? Am I attention seeking? Am I lying? Is it my fault? Did I want that? That's how I lived with that because I actually thought that I was the one in the wrong for that situation, and I don't know. That's why I started self harming. So there we go. There's the timeline to bring you to the self harm.
I mean, that's crazy. And that's for sure at a large scale, because I know on a maybe a less heavy scale, I personally know like there's ideas I've had or situations I've been myself where, you know, it's like I can feel and I know something's true, but the outside world's like telling you something else.
Mm.
And so you have this like introspection about yourself where you're like, did I do that? Or is that how that actually came off? Like, how much of that
Yeah.
actually is true? Like,
Mm.
am I the one that's wrong?
And I'd never been parented, really, like not functionally. So it was, I had to be this adult, and that was really tough for me. I really struggled with being an adult because I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I didn't know how to be an adult. So yeah, I think that's what probably start of really when I started getting really like more depressed, more dark, more hopeless, more going into those really lower states of consciousness, lack of no return, and then the drugs, the alcohol, not helping, my ability to not process my own feelings or emotions, not even understand my own mental health. I think that's then obviously what led to the breakdown. And then I had a mental breakdown when I was 20, and I mean, it's beautiful because it's kind of like obviously all of that had happened for the past however long has just got too much, and my body's just broken. It's just been too much, and I've broken out of it. I needed to have the breakdown to break through it all.
And so, was this kind of like a part of the darkness that pushed you towards the first suicide attempt?
Yeah, I couldn't live with myself. I didn't. I was hopeless. Actually, for me, suicide was the idealistic, ideal kind of thing. It was almost like a relief. It was like, this is going to be better. I'm going to be free of suffering. I'm going to be happy. So for me, this felt like I actually convinced myself that this was like hell and that we were living in hell and actually it would be better for me to get out of here. Now I see that it's just, we construct our own realities. But for me, it just pushed me to the edge. I was just like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to do this. Life is too hard. It's too heavy. I'm done. Get me a ticket out of here. I can't deal with it. I can't cope.
Were you, I guess so, you weren't doing like meditating, you weren't doing any sort of, let's say, spiritual work before you got to Australia. And so there was like this divine feeling of one way ticket, drop everything, one way ticket Australia?
You know what? I actually think it's amazing how it's so divine, all of this happening, is when I was in hospital the second time, a friend, the same friend that couldn't be my friend because I was depressed, she'd left. She was my best friend for like years. She actually came to the hospital. I'd not seen her in years. And she came to the hospital and she gave me the secret. She just gave me the secret. And I remember at the time thinking, why are you giving me a book? Like, I've just tried to kill myself. I don't care about a book right now. Like, I remember thinking that. Anyway, it was divine because their secret is obviously like starts to teach you about law of attraction. So when I first started reading that book in Australia, because I didn't read it straight away, I started to read it in Australia. Instantly, it started to resonate. Of like, it's almost like my higher self had just placed all of these things in my path, and it was all divine and aligned. Because then I started instantly when I read that your thoughts create your reality, it's almost like a whole activation just happened. I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa. I was like, oh. And then more and more, I started to see how, oh, I've just created that depression myself to a degree. I've just constructed a dark reality because of my own thoughts and feelings.
I think that's huge kudos to your story where if somebody who can be somebody who attempted suicide arguably 3 times, maybe 3.5, it depends on how you want to count it. You have seen this kind of stuff firsthand of that the world creates your reality. Like you're at a point now where you are a rape victim, a sexual trauma survivor, I guess those are weird, interesting words in themselves, but you've battled through all these things and yet you're now at a point where you're like, yeah, I quote unquote created all of that.
Yeah, I legit, obviously, I probably didn't like that idea initially, but I could start to see how I'd created the depression, I'd created that construct. And I mean, we can never understand as a child why we attract these kind of things into our life, right? We never can. Maybe I was supposed to, or maybe it was the predisposition of like being into, I'd come into I chose my parents. My parents are pretty low vibrational in a way. They're living, so it's like I'm kind of like naturally going to experience what they're experiencing. So as I started going on this journey, more and more things were happening where I was being faced with myself. So a lot of self-awareness was starting, like a lot of things were starting to like reflect, I guess, back to me. And I had to sit, like, I guess I had to like just learn about myself in such a big way. Um, it's crazy how quickly that went, actually. But one of really kind of like momental times I remember was I was very still victim mentality, victim consciousness, and I was entitled. like very entitled as fuck. Like I thought that the whole world owed me something. So I was surrounded by a lot of people who'd not experienced anything along the lines of what I'd experienced. And as you can imagine, when I'm partying with them and stuff, they would drink, it would be cool, it would be chill. I would drink, I'd start expressing all of this deep, dark stuff that I've still kind of got within my psyche, you know, and I would be a mess, emotionally a mess. And people would just be like, you know, that's a bit much, Joe. Like, so these things were still happening, you know, like I would binge drink and I would, you know, I'd be trying to express myself through the alcohol.